for our acts. The sea can be deep for our diving. Hope comes and stops us in our tracks. Bravely we prove in our striving, trudging together each day. Where there's a will, there's a way.
The views and opinions expressed on Trudging Together are solely those of the host, co-host, and our guests. They do not necessarily reflect the views of any organization, fellowship, or other entity, and definitely not your boss, your neighbor, or that one guy in your home group. The content of this program is not intended to replace medical, psychological, or professional advice. If you're looking for that, please seek guidance from qualified professionals who spent way too many years in school. What you'll hear here is based on lived experience, recovery journeys, and the occasional bad coffee-fueled joke. Trudging Together is not affiliated with any 12-step fellowship. We are simply people sharing our stories and walking this path together, one day at a time. Thank you for joining us, and remember, recovery is serious business, but that doesn't mean we can't laugh along the way.
Hello. Hello. Happy Friday afternoon. Looks like my video is kind of out. Fix that. All right, there we go. And fix it. I can do this real quick. There we go. Okay. So I was just talking with Community Reach Center, and I brought up that maybe, if you needed people to run some groups and stuff, that be happy to do it. So that way I can take some of these trainings and stuff that I do out into the community instead of just doing them online, and maybe do a little bit of both. Right. So he was very up for it. So yeah, but we're not going to be able to talk about that till the beginning of the year. For me, there's not going to be much more going on in that field, in the recovery field this year. When it comes to the holidays, everything kind of tends to get put on hold. Budgets are due. You got to get your stuff ready for the IRS. It's the last quarter, start of a new year. So holidays, yeah. So usually about the middle of October, things kind of start to settle down for us. Now, you won't notice it, but in this field, things are a little bit different around the holidays. We deal more with crisis than we do. But we deal with more crisis than we do recovery in those months, and you could probably understand why. We all go through some stuff, right? All right, welcome to Daily Trudge. My name is Dion. We're going to do how it works today. I'm going to read straight out of the big book. Some of you may have done. I do how it works often, but changes. We're different people, right? If you're here, please say hello, whether you're watching the live or the rewatch. Live, or maybe you are rewatching. I'll probably have one rewatcher a little bit later. My friend Michelle has not been able to be here today. She had to get something done. Sometimes recovery feels really, really complicated. But what it really comes down to three things: honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness. That is the basics of recovery. Now, it's kind of weird, right? Because they are also principles, and you would think they would be the principles of steps 1, 2, and 3, but they are not, right? So honesty is step 1. Open-mindedness is not a principle. And willingness is step 6, right? But we're going to use these things. We're going to use them in the very beginning, all three of them, okay? So before I get to the reading, let's talk a little bit about honesty. Let's talk about honesty in a newcomer. Okay? Right? Are you thinking what I'm thinking? Because I don't know about you, but when I came into this program, I'm full of shit. There wasn't anything honest about me. Everything that came out of my mouth wasn't quite honest. There was a little tinge to it. Maybe I, was telling a story and added a little bit, embellished a story or something. Of course, storytelling is all about embellishing. So we call them tall tales. There's a reason we call them that. Right? So what can we do as far as honesty goes for the newcomer? Well, did they come in and say, my name's Dion and I'm an alcoholic, or say their name? There's your honesty. That's the honesty that we're talking about. And step one, we're just going to be honest with ourselves. I don't know anymore. All my best thoughts got me here. We call it the gift of desperation, and that your life is unmanageable. Right? The first honest things I ever said was, I don't know. There we go. So what are we going to do? Well, we're going to allow the newcomer to be as honest as they can. This does not need to be done perfectly. All right. Okay. Step one is the only step that you do 100%. That doesn't mean it's perfect. Our 100% doesn't equal perfection. Okay. So remember that. Open-mindedness. We're just going to ask you to listen. We're going to ask you to listen to experience, strength, and hope. Willingness. You're going to need it. Willingness it's the beginning of almost everything that we do. Or we might utilize willingness as a way to work through to something. Does that make sense? No, I don't want to do that. Are you willing to do it? I can probably bring up the willingness to do it, because the willingness doesn't require any action. So it can be accomplished, right? So if you don't feel like you have willingness, a great way to work on it is pray for willingness. There's a trick there. If you are willing to pray for willingness, you already got it. All right. So it's not a secret. It's just a trick that we kind of use. All right. And it's not a secret trick. We're aware of it. Sure we are. But it helps us get there. And that's really what matters. So we're going to start at the beginning of how it works. I will let you know I'm not gonna read the steps out loud. Or this would take, hours. So, chapter 5, how it works. Rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our path. Those who do not recover are people who cannot or will not completely give themselves to this simple program. Usually men and women who are constitutionally incapable of being honest with themselves. All right. Now, I'm gonna tell you something, because I gotta qualify here. Absolutely, I do. AA is not the only way. There are other ways, but I'm gonna tell you something. You're still going to do this work. You still do the work. It's just presented in a way that suits you. Is really all it is. And AA tries to be that, but it doesn't always do it. But yeah, rarely have I seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed the path, whether it was an AA or another program. We're still on the same broad highway together. Okay. But then it goes on to say these are people who are constitutionally incapable of being honest with themselves. And I hear people say this all the time. I'm being constitutionally incapable. I'm constitutionally. Okay. It's a fancy way to say denial. That's what that is. Right? Who are, okay. Well, I have written above it physically. So maybe it is also physically constitutional. So maybe. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to go look it up. Because if I'm wrong, then we need to correct it, right? Constitutionally incapable definition. means a person is unable to perform a certain action due to their inherent nature, temperament, or physical makeup. So it's a little bit of both. I wasn't wrong, but I wasn't right. I'll take it, right? So it does mean that. Okay. There are such unfortunates. They are not at fault. They seem to have been born that way. See, even back here, 90 years ago, they were saying it. We're born with it. A lot of people don't want to believe this. And I don't know that every alcoholic is born with it. I don't know that. I don't know. You know how I don't know? Because I haven't met every single alcoholic in the world. So how would I know? But I've also done a lot of podcasting. I interview a lot of people. I talk to a lot of people. I've helped a lot of people. I was a counselor. I was a lot of things. So, and I usually found this right here, that it ran in the family. Sometimes it even skips a generation, right? This is, and the other day there was I had a clip out and it was talking about that this is a family disease. And there were some people that, no, it's not. That's all they had to say. No, it's not. Okay. You don't have to look at it that way if you don't want to. Okay. But I think I was born with this disease. I can't think of a time in my life when I was actually being honest. Now, I've always been a conniving little shit. So I didn't mean to. I didn't. I thought I was being honest. I didn't know better. Right? Their chances are less than average. Oh, it says they seem to have been born that way. They're naturally. That means born that way, incapable of grasping and developing a manner of living which demands rigorous honesty. There we go again. There is no, if it's naturally, that means you were born with it. That means it was not, you didn't get it from hanging out with other people. All right. So their chances are less than average. Less than average compared to who? I'm thinking they mean non-alcoholics. There are those too who suffer from grave emotional and mental disorders, but many of them do recover if they have the capacity to be honest. What are those other grave emotional and mental disorders? Okay. Not all of us come out of our drinking careers clean after we do the 12 steps. Some of us still have some other things. I'm diagnosed with a couple other mental illnesses, but I still have the capacity to. But the thing is I worked on my alcoholism first, right? I worked on my spiritual malady. Okay. And it gave me the capacity to be honest, even though I had other orders, even though I had other emotional and mental disorders. Okay. Okay. See, what I call the 12 steps is a good start. That's a good start. Okay. AA will mostly clear the ground for you so that you can work on these other things. Okay. And I've watched plenty of people with mental disorders make it in this program. Actually, they usually go on to help even more people because they had to go through more to get to where you're at. So that means that they've experienced more. These people right here are the same people that usually become counselors, peer support. They usually work in mental health. They usually go on to work in mental health. Hey, Amber, good to see you. Just got service. Our stories disclose in a general way. In a general way. This is how we tell our stories. What it used to be like, what happened, and what it is like now. Right? That's how we usually tell our stories. It's a good rhythm to have. All right. Now, here's a little secret. I'm gonna give you if you want to tell your story, I'm going to give you a little tip. Let's say they're giving you 20 minutes. Spend 5 minutes on what it was like. Spend 5 minutes on what it was like. Or you're going to talk about what it was like, and then suddenly you're going to have 5 minutes to talk about what it's like now. Because I know that you want to get to that, what it's like now. Save at least half of what you have to say for that portion. Because even what happened might take you a little while. It might be a full story, right? And that you may describe that. People tend to forget that what happened part was the turning point that made you come in. What happened to you that you decided to get sober? And not many people actually cover this part. Sometimes they do. Depends on who they are. A lot of people keep dates and things like that, right? So just that, if you're ever going to tell your story, make sure that you may put a timer in front of you. That's what I do. I keep a watch on the clock. I'm always having to watch time because I do this stuff, right? So if you have decided you want what we have and are willing to go to any length to get it, then you are ready to take certain steps. Right. And it just kind of we've kind of covered steps 1, 2, and 3, kind of, not much. The very, very short form, right? Because it says if you're willing to go to any length, then you are ready to take certain steps. And those steps are 4 through 12. Yeah, but you have to be willing to go to any length to do it. Okay? Doesn't mean that's what's going to happen, but you do have to be willing. As some of these we balked. Right? Some of these we balked. I did. You come into your first meeting and you see those 12 steps on the wall. You're like, oh, fuck. And then you see 12 more, right? They're traditions. Then it gets worse. We're like, you need to go buy a big book. Oh my God, a big book? How big is this fucking book that you got to call it a big book? Oh, you got to get a sponsor. You got to do 90 and 90. You got to see. Now it's starting to pile up, and this can be a lot for a person just walking into the room. It's a wonder that they balk. All right. So what do we usually say to people? Well, don't worry about it. You're on step 1, and that's all you need to do. That's all you need to worry about right now. Your only job right now is to breathe in and out, stay sober, and go to meetings in the beginning. It's really your only job. All right. So we thought we could find an easier, softer way, but we could not. There is so much in that. Okay. And I'm going to tell you right now, there is nothing out right now that hasn't already been done and failed. Anything outside of this work is an easier, softer way, which will supply you with a half measure, which will get you nothing. You'll feel good for a little bit, but 2-step can only maintain you for so long, right? But we could not. And by the we, what they mean is the first 100 who wrote this book. But even then, I look for the easier, softer way too. I even tried all the shit that they told me in the big book that didn't work for them. I tried that too. And guess what? It didn't work because I thought it was smarter, because I thought it was better, because I thought I had more knowledge, or because I thought I had more of this. No, I was wrong. That's what I was. With all the earnestness at our command, we beg of you to be fearless and thorough from the very start. Do the best that you can. That fearless may not be there in the beginning. Okay? You're going to need some courage, and courage comes from God. Or, you might hang out with some people that have a lot of courage. Maybe they're willing to give you some of theirs. I'm willing to give you some of my courage if it means it's going to help you get through something and keep you sober and help you through the day. I got plenty of courage. In fact, I have an infinite amount of it because it's given to me by something else. Actually, courage is one of those unsuspecting inner resources. So, right. Some of us have tried to hold on to our old ideas, and the result was nil until we let go. Absolutely. I know it. I know as we read this, it just makes you feel more and more uncomfortable, huh? It isn't as rough as it sounds. It's not. Okay. Is the program easy? No. Is it simple? Yes. Which is why a lot of people can't understand it. It has to stay simple, especially for this alcohol. Remember that we deal with alcohol, cunning, baffling, powerful. I'm going to throw patient in there. Without help, it is too much for us. Was for me. And I'm sorry, but I haven't met another alcoholic that didn't feel that way. But not everybody wants to go on to what we're doing next. But there's one who has all power. That one is God. May you find him now. Now I'm going to bring something up. Okay. God is a universal word. Okay? It's a universal word. And it means something different to a lot of different people. And that's okay. The only reason I say God is so that you don't misunderstand what I'm saying. But I don't believe in, I prefer higher power. That's what I prefer. The God word bothered me for a little bit, but that was also my defiance. You know, there's some, sometimes and this was just something that I was thinking about earlier that, you know, you don't believe in God, but, years ago you went to treatment and AA saved your life. It saved your family's life. It put your family back together. To just disregard it, there's going to be consequences to that. No matter how good your life is, there's going to be consequences to that. Right? Sure, it's the grace of God and it's a free gift, but there's something about it. At least there is for me. I guess I should say that's for me. Right? Half measures availed us nothing. We stood at the turning point. We asked his protection and care with complete abandon. That's definitely step 3. Complete abandon. Well, I can't do complete abandon. You know what? You drank and you ran through the store naked. You did all kinds of things with complete abandon. But you can't do this. It's like a Meatloaf song. I would do anything for love, but I won't do that. Makes me, know, but half measures, well, it doesn't get you anything in this program. Now, what is that half measure? What is that half measure? The lackadaisical. Yeah, I guess I have to do this work. Da, 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 you can't do 100% every day. That won't work. You will get burnt out. There is balance to this stuff. The half measure we are talking about is the complete abandon. You can't do step 3 halfway. Thank God for willingness. Thank God for willingness. Thank you, God, for giving us willingness. Here are the steps we took, which are suggested as a program of recovery. I'm not going to read those. I think you know them. Right. Many of us exclaimed, "What an order! I can't go on." Do not be discouraged. No one among us has been able to maintain anything like perfect adherence to these principles. We are not saints. I do not adhere to the principles 100% of the time. I'm not a saint. I make mistakes. Thank God for the 10th step. Thank you, God, for the 10th step and for willingness. Right? So thank God for the 10th step. because that allows me to continue to maintain, right? So what are we doing again? The best we can with each day. We're not saints. The point is that we're willing to grow along spiritual lines. Just willing. You can't be willing to try and grow along spiritual lines. That sucks. What's standing in your way? I know what's standing in your way. You. You're the only person that can stand in the sunlight of your spirit or block it. Nobody else can block your sunlight of the spirit. It's a hard one to come to terms with, but it's correct. The principles we have set down are guides to progress. We claim spiritual progress rather than spiritual perfection. Progress, progress, progress. Because after a while, you'll be able to see the progress. And you'll catch it. Start catching it in the moment. Claim it. Good job. There you go. That's claiming it. Our description of the alcoholic, the chapter to the agnostic, our personal adventures before and after make clear three pertinent ideas. A, that we were alcoholic and could not manage our own lives. B, that probably no human power could have relieved our alcoholism. And C, that God could and would if he were sought. Now, I like that B there, that probably, see, they put probably in there to make you feel better. That probably, we don't know. Probably, but we do know. But, probably that God could and would if he were sought. These things have all been true for me. Absolutely have. All right. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I appreciate it. I love you. You know I do.